Hey, it's 1.1, the first video for our unit on A Raisin in the Sun. And this video is all about social protest art. Our learning objective is students will be able to identify a piece of social protest art and analyze the effect of its stylistic choices on the audience. The play we're reading, A Raisin in the Sun by Lorraine Hansberry, is considered to be an example of social protest art. And so let's talk about what this genre is. Here's the question I want you to have in your mind. What is social protest art? Did anybody think of this book or the film version right away? You maybe did. You know that the play we're going to read is an example. How about Ava DuVernay's mini series about the Central Park Five? The young brown and black boys who were accused and later exonerated of a murder in Central Park. Maybe that comes to mind. J. Cole, anybody know this musician? He is known for his social protest music. How about this film? Jordan Peele's 2017 debut, Get Out. Is it a horror film or a social protest film or both? We'll maybe come back to that question at the end of the video. All right, let's do some definitions first. Social protest art. Here's a definition for you. It's art that addresses and challenges cultural power structures rather than representing them or simply describing them. So the key verb is addresses, key verbs, and challenges. Addresses, challenges. Cultural power structures. All right, get that down? Sometimes these pieces of art are produced by activists and social movements, like the picture we have here of Jordan Powell Karras and his iconic fist sculpture that was erected at what became George Floyd Square in 2020. There's now a steel version of the sculpture that he originally was the brains behind, but not always. So sometimes it's right. It's in the middle of an uprising, a social protest, but not always. And sometimes it's hard to define because of this definition, the fact that it's created in opposition to or against mainstream definitions. Well, here are some examples of social protest art. We have signs, banners, posters, and other printed materials used in a protest. Here's one from the protest of Daunte Wright's killing by a police officer in Brooklyn Center in 2021. And so this was a banner that was painted. I don't know, maybe some of you saw that on the street in 2021. I know I rode my bike past it. Thought it was a really powerful piece of art. Here is another one that's not a banner, but it's kind of an unusual one. It's a projection of a photograph of Breonna Taylor onto a statue of Robert E. Lee on Monument Avenue in Richmond, Virginia in July 2020. And down here you can see there are all of these memorials to Breonna Taylor and others for her death, with calls for compassion, revolutionary symbols, anti-police slogans. The area has become kind of, or at least in 2021, had become a kind of a pilgrimage place where people could gather and work towards social change. So we certainly have those kinds. That would be the second bullet point here. It's changing the appearance of a traditional existing art to make a comment about social issues. Also art designed for a museum, but with a particular social issue in mind. So it doesn't have to be outside on the streets in the middle of a social protest. Another example is songs by artists who are commenting on problems in our society, like music by J. Cole. Books, poems, and plays by writers who are addressing problems in our society are more examples. And of course, this is where it fits in our unit, since we are going to be reading a play that is considered a piece of social protest art. An article by E.J. Penaligan for Daily Bruin of UCLA talked a lot about how rap is a kind of social protest art and how it always has been. The article was published in June of 2020. And in the article, he says that rap music has enjoyed a meteoric rise in popular culture in recent years. Since the start of 2020, 9 out of the 12 Billboard Hot 100 #1 singles have been by Black rappers and singers. Rap songs that weren't made with the intent to chart end up doing so because of their dominating popularity on social media apps like TikTok and Twitter. And by taking the fire of their genre while acknowledging the strength of their own fan bases, prominent hip-hop artists have applied both of those forces to social movements against police brutality that need continuous momentum to prompt change. And so he talks specifically about a song called "The Bigger Picture" by Lil Baby. And this was a song that came out in 2020, and it was actually released on June 12th, 2020, in the wake of the murder of George Floyd. And the track became sort of connected to the uprising after George Floyd's murder. Let's take a look at some of the lyrics from the song. It goes, "It's too many mothers that's grieving. They're killing us for no reason. Been going on for too long to get even. Throw us in cages like dogs and hyenas." So for this unit, we want to look carefully at some of the ways that artists are using language and other choices to, make these comments and make these points about cultural power structures, right? And so in this one, we have a simile. A simile is a comparison between two things that at first seem unalike or seem very different. And it's right here, like dogs and hyenas. The comparison is between dogs and hyenas and us. So people, and specifically Lil Baby, he's African American, and so he is talking about African American people and comparing them to dogs and hyenas thrown in cages. So the question in your packet asks you to explore the effects of that simile. What does that make you feel? What does that make you think of? What are the effects of that simile? And why might it be an effective way to get people to think about cultural power structures? In his article, he says, at its core, rap music has always embodied the plight of the Black individual in America. He makes the point that Lil Baby was not the first to do this. In 1992, an NWA song was the popular song, protest anthem, if you will, for the Los Angeles race riots. And so he makes this point that rap has always embodied the plight. So embodied meaning taken the form of, plight meaning the problems. So put that in your own words. What does that mean to you? And how might this connect to the idea of social protest art? All right, so social protest art addresses and challenges cultural power struggles. That is our key takeaway from this video. And so if you go back to that movie, Get Out, look at what Jordan Peele said about it. He said he considers it a social thriller And so it has that word social right in it. So it's not just a horror. He says, it was very important to me to just get the entire audience in touch in some way with the fears inherent in being Black in this country. And so maybe Get Out is an example of social protest art itself.